Have you ever looked at your life and wondered why things seemed harder for you than for the people around you? Perhaps there were moments when it felt as if challenges arrived all at once, leaving you with very little time to breathe. There may have been periods filled with loss, failure, misunderstandings, or situations where no matter how hard you tried to explain yourself, it felt like no one truly understood what you were going through. In those moments, it is easy to come to a painful conclusion that life is simply unfair, or that somehow you are destined to carry more weight than others. Many people quietly carry this question with them for years. They look around and see others moving through life with fewer obstacles, fewer emotional battles, and fewer moments of deep uncertainty. Meanwhile, their own journey seems filled with lessons that arrive too early and too intensely. When you experience repeated hardship, it can feel as though life is constantly testing you, while everyone else is allowed to move forward more easily. For some people, those early struggles begin to shape how they see the world. Situations that others might overlook become deeply meaningful. Painful experiences force reflection. Instead of moving through life on autopilot, they begin asking deeper questions about themselves, about relationships, and about the meaning behind the events they have lived through. Over time, those questions can slowly develop into a deeper level of awareness. A common pattern often appears in the stories of people who eventually develop strong self-understanding. Many of them describe having to face difficult lessons much earlier than those around them. While others were still discovering life gradually, they were already learning how to deal with disappointment, emotional conflict, or moments of isolation. These experiences forced them to grow in ways that were not always comfortable, but they also shaped a unique form of emotional strength. At times, this process can feel lonely. When your experiences push you toward deeper reflection, while others seem focused on simpler concerns, it may feel as though your journey is moving in a direction that few people around you truly relate to. You might feel misunderstood, or even wonder why your path seems so different from the paths of those around you. But what many people later realize is that these experiences were not meaningless detours. They were shaping something within them. Sometimes the most painful chapters of life are not random obstacles placed in your way. Instead, they may function as a form of preparation. The challenges that once seemed unfair may have been strengthening qualities that cannot develop easily in comfort. Resilience, emotional intelligence, patience, and the ability to understand others often grow out of experiences that initially felt overwhelming. When you begin to look at your past through this lens, a different perspective can emerge. The hardships that once seemed like evidence that life was against you may actually have been guiding you toward a deeper level of awareness. Pain does not always exist to break a person down. In many cases, it becomes the force that shapes someone into a stronger, wiser, and more conscious version of themselves. If this message resonates with your own experiences, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who may also be going through a similar journey, and subscribe to the channel for more content about awareness and personal growth. When people look back on their lives, one pattern often becomes clear. Those who faced serious challenges early in life tend to develop emotional and psychological strength much sooner than others. While some individuals move through their early years surrounded by stability and comfort, others encounter circumstances that force them to grow quickly. These experiences may not have been chosen, and they may not have been fair, but they often shape a person's character in powerful ways. Pain has a unique way of accelerating growth. When life becomes difficult, people cannot remain the same as they were before. They must adapt. In comfortable situations, growth often happens slowly because there is little pressure to change. But when someone faces hardship, adaptation becomes necessary. They learn how to respond, how to endure, and how to keep moving forward even when the path ahead feels uncertain. This process is rarely easy. At the time the hardship occurs, it usually feels overwhelming. A person might feel confused about why these experiences are happening to them. They may question their abilities or doubt their worth. They may feel isolated, believing that others cannot understand what they are going through. Yet within these difficult moments, something important begins to develop. The mind and emotions gradually learn how to cope with adversity. One of the ways this growth appears is through resilience. Resilience is not something that develops in moments of comfort. It grows when someone is forced to recover after disappointment or loss. Each time a person faces a setback and continues forward, they gain a deeper understanding of their own strength. They begin to realize that they are capable of surviving experiences that once seemed impossible to endure. Many people who have walked through hardship recognize this pattern later in life. They realize that their challenges required them to become emotionally aware at an earlier stage than their peers. While others were learning certain lessons gradually, they were already confronting the realities of disappointment, rejection, or uncertainty. This accelerated learning process often gives them a perspective that feels different from those around them. These hardships can appear in many forms. For some individuals, the challenge comes through repeated misunderstandings. They may feel that their intentions are often misinterpreted, or that the people around them do not fully recognize their potential. Living with this experience can create frustration, but it can also lead to a deeper sense of self-reflection. Instead of relying solely on external validation, they begin to examine their own motivations and values more closely. For others, the challenge may come through failure while pursuing something important. Failing at a goal that truly matters can be deeply painful. It forces a person to confront feelings of disappointment and self-doubt. Yet it also provides an opportunity to develop perseverance. When someone learns to continue after failure, they discover that setbacks do not necessarily define the future. Instead, those moments can become turning points that build determination and clarity. Relationships can also play a powerful role in shaping emotional growth. Painful relationship experiences often teach lessons that are difficult but transformative. When someone faces betrayal, rejection, or emotional conflict, they are forced to examine the dynamics of trust, communication, and boundaries. These experiences may leave emotional scars, but they also encourage a deeper understanding of human behavior and emotional needs. In some cases, the challenge comes from growing up in an environment where a person feels different from those around them. They may sense that their perspective, interests, or emotional depth does not fully align with the people in their immediate surroundings. This feeling of being out of place can be difficult, especially during early stages of life when belonging feels essential. Yet this experience often pushes individuals to develop a stronger sense of identity. Instead of relying entirely on the approval of others, they begin searching for meaning and direction within themselves. Although these experiences can be painful, they often contribute to emotional maturity in ways that comfort rarely does. People who have faced adversity tend to spend more time reflecting on their emotions and decisions. They begin asking questions about why certain events happened and what lessons can be learned from them. This reflection gradually builds self-awareness, which is one of the most valuable tools for personal growth. Emotional maturity also grows through the process of learning how to manage difficult feelings. Disappointment, frustration, sadness, and uncertainty are natural responses to hardship. When someone experiences these emotions repeatedly, they gradually learn how to navigate them. Instead of avoiding or suppressing their feelings, they begin to understand them. This understanding helps them respond more calmly and thoughtfully when new challenges arise. Another important quality that develops through hardship is perseverance. Perseverance is the ability to continue moving forward, even when progress feels slow or uncertain. People who have faced adversity often learn that success rarely comes without obstacles. Each challenge they overcome reinforces the idea that persistence matters more than immediate results. Over time, this mindset becomes a powerful source of motivation. This kind of growth can sometimes make individuals feel older than their age, not in years, but in perspective. They may notice that their outlook on life feels different from the outlook of those around them. Situations that others see as minor frustrations may appear trivial compared to the challenges they have already faced. This difference in perspective can occasionally create distance between them and others, but it also reflects the depth of experience they have gained. It is important to recognize that this process does not make someone superior to others. Every person's journey includes different kinds of lessons. Some learn through comfort and gradual exploration, while others learn through intense experiences that arrive earlier than expected. Neither path is inherently better, but the path shaped by hardship often produces a distinct form of resilience and awareness. Over time, individuals who have endured difficult experiences begin to realize that their past struggles have given them tools that cannot easily be taught. They develop patience because they understand that progress takes time. They develop empathy because they know what it feels like to face emotional pain. They develop determination because they have already proven to themselves that they can survive moments of uncertainty. When viewed from this perspective, early hardship begins to take on a different meaning. Instead of existing only as a source of pain, it becomes part of a larger process of preparation. The challenges that once felt like barriers gradually reveal themselves as training grounds for inner strength. This realization does not erase the difficulty of those experiences. Painful memories do not simply disappear once their lessons are understood, but the meaning attached to them begins to shift. What once felt like evidence of misfortune may now appear as a series of experiences that shaped resilience, emotional depth, and clarity. The key message in this stage of the journey is that early hardship does not only cause pain, it also builds the foundation for inner strength and resilience. Pain does more than challenge a person's strength. Over time, it also changes the way someone understands the emotional world around them. When people go through difficult experiences, their perception of others often becomes deeper and more nuanced. They begin to notice emotional signals, struggles, and inner conflicts that might otherwise remain invisible. In this way, suffering does not only shape resilience, it expands awareness. Many individuals who have not encountered significant hardship tend to interpret life through simpler emotional frameworks. Their experiences may have allowed them to move forward without deeply examining the emotional complexity of human behavior. This does not mean they lack empathy or intelligence. It simply means their perspective has not yet required them to confront the full range of emotional experiences that shape human lives. When life remains relatively stable, it is easy to assume that emotions follow predictable patterns. Happiness appears straightforward, sadness appears temporary. Conflict seems solvable with simple communication. From this vantage point, the emotional landscape of life can appear relatively uncomplicated. However, people who have endured meaningful hardship often discover that human emotions are far more layered and complex than they once believed. Experiencing loss, rejection, loneliness, or disappointment changes the way someone interprets emotional signals. After living through those experiences, a person becomes more capable of recognizing similar feelings in others. They begin to notice subtle shifts in tone, body language, and behavior that reveal when someone is struggling internally. What once might have seemed like ordinary frustration now appears as something deeper. For example, someone who has experienced loneliness often develops an ability to recognize that same feeling in another person, even when it is not openly expressed. They may notice hesitation in someone's voice, a brief pause before responding, or a quiet withdrawal during conversations. These small signals can reveal emotional states that others might overlook entirely. Similarly, individuals who have faced rejection or misunderstanding often become sensitive to situations where someone else feels excluded or dismissed. They remember what those experiences felt like, and that memory shapes their ability to respond with compassion rather than judgment. Instead of assuming that someone's behavior is simply negative or irrational, they consider the possibility that deeper emotions may be influencing that behavior. This growing awareness can transform the way a person interacts with others. Relationships become less about quick assumptions and more about careful observation and understanding. Instead of reacting immediately to someone's words or actions, a person who has developed emotional awareness may pause and consider the feelings behind those actions. This pause creates space for empathy. Empathy is not simply the ability to feel sympathy for someone else. It involves recognizing the emotional reality another person is experiencing and responding in a way that acknowledges that reality. People who have endured hardship often develop empathy naturally because their own experiences have given them insight into the struggles that others may face. Pain also encourages deeper reflection about one's own emotions. When life becomes difficult, people often spend more time examining their thoughts and reactions. They ask themselves questions about why they feel certain emotions and what those emotions reveal about their values, fears, and aspirations. This reflective process can be uncomfortable, but it is also an important pathway towards self-awareness. Self-awareness develops when a person becomes capable of observing their internal world without immediately reacting to it. Instead of being controlled entirely by emotions, they begin to understand where those emotions come from. They recognize patterns in their behavior and start identifying the experiences that shaped those patterns. For instance, someone who has experienced disappointment may begin examining how that experience influenced their expectations of themselves and others. They might recognize that certain fears or hesitations are connected to past events rather than present realities. By identifying these connections, they gain the ability to respond more thoughtfully instead of repeating automatic reactions. This deeper understanding of personal emotions naturally extends into a broader understanding of human behavior. When someone recognizes the complexity of their own emotional experiences, they also begin to appreciate the complexity within others. They realize that every person carries unseen experiences that shape their actions and decisions. As a result, judgments become less immediate and more reflective. Instead of labeling someone's behavior as simply right or wrong, a person with emotional awareness may consider the circumstances and pressures that influenced that behavior. This shift in perspective does not excuse harmful actions, but it encourages a more balanced and compassionate response. Another important aspect of this process is the search for meaning. Difficult experiences often prompt individuals to ask deeper questions about their lives. They may wonder why certain events occurred and what lessons those events might contain. While these questions do not always produce immediate answers, the act of asking them encourages personal growth. Through reflection, people often begin identifying the values that matter most to them. Hardship has a way of clarifying priorities. Experiences that once seemed important may lose their significance, while qualities such as honesty, connection, resilience, and authenticity become more meaningful. This shift in priorities reflects a growing understanding of what truly matters in life. The search for meaning also encourages people to examine the direction they want their life to take. After facing challenges, many individuals begin reconsidering the goals they once pursued. They may realize that certain ambitions were based on external expectations rather than personal fulfillment. As awareness grows, they start aligning their choices with values that feel more authentic. This process can transform the way a person views both themselves and the world. Instead of seeing life as a sequence of random events, they begin to recognize patterns of growth and transformation within their experiences. Painful moments that once seemed meaningless gradually reveal the lessons they carried. Importantly, this shift in awareness does not erase emotional pain entirely. Difficult memories may still evoke strong feelings. However, the way those memories are interpreted begins to change. Instead of existing only as reminders of suffering, they become sources of insight and understanding. This transformation in perspective allows individuals to engage with others more thoughtfully. They recognize that every person they meet is navigating a complex emotional landscape shaped by their own history. This recognition encourages patience and compassion, even in situations that might once have triggered frustration or judgment. In this sense, pain becomes a teacher. It expands emotional awareness and deepens a person's ability to understand others. It reveals the hidden layers within human relationships and encourages a more thoughtful approach to interaction. Through these experiences, individuals learn that emotions are rarely simple and that every person carries a story that deserves consideration. The central message of this stage is that pain does not only affect how someone feels, it also transforms how they perceive the world. It expands awareness, strengthens empathy, and deepens the understanding of human complexity. Through hardship, people often gain the ability to see others with greater clarity and compassion, recognizing that behind every action lies an emotional story waiting to be understood. As time passes and people gain distance from their most difficult experiences, many begin to see their past from a different perspective. Moments that once seemed defined entirely by pain gradually reveal a deeper significance. What initially felt like meaningless suffering often begins to look more like a series of lessons that shaped their character and understanding of life. This shift in perspective does not happen instantly. It usually unfolds slowly as a person reflects on how those experiences change the way they think, feel, and interact with the world. In the middle of hardship, it is almost impossible to see purpose. Pain narrows attention and fills the mind with questions about survival, fairness, and uncertainty. People in those moments rarely believe that anything meaningful could come from the difficulties they are facing. However, when enough time passes, reflection often reveals that those experiences created abilities and insights that would not have developed under easier circumstances. One of the most common changes that occurs after hardship is a growing desire to make sense of what happened. People begin examining their past, not only to remember it, but to understand it. They start asking what those experiences taught them and how those lessons shaped the person they have become. Through this process, painful events gradually transform into sources of wisdom. Many individuals discover that their past struggles gave them a unique ability to understand others who are facing similar challenges. Someone who has experienced deep loss often develops a sensitivity to grief in others. A person who has lived through rejection may recognize the emotional impact of exclusion more clearly than someone who has never encountered it. These experiences create a form of emotional insight that cannot easily be learned through theory or observation alone. Because of this insight, some people feel drawn toward helping others who are walking similar paths. They may offer guidance, encouragement, or simply a listening presence that communicates understanding. Their words carry weight because they come from lived experience rather than distant observation. When someone knows that another person has faced the same kind of struggle and survived it, that knowledge can provide a powerful sense of hope. This does not mean that everyone who experiences hardship becomes a teacher or mentor in a formal sense. Support can appear in many forms. Some people offer advice and guidance directly. Others express their understanding through creativity, writing, art, or conversation. What matters is the transformation of personal experience into something that benefits others. For many individuals, the connection between hardship and purpose becomes clearer when they realize that their experiences allow them to relate to people in ways that others cannot. Instead of feeling defined by their past pain, they begin to see it as part of a larger story. That story includes not only struggle, but also resilience, learning, and growth. In some cases, this realization leads people toward meaningful work that reflects their deeper values. A person who once struggled with emotional challenges may choose a path that involves supporting mental health awareness or personal development. Someone who faced injustice or misunderstanding might feel motivated to advocate for fairness or understanding within their community. The specific direction varies for each individual, but the underlying pattern remains similar. The lessons learned through hardship begin guiding future choices. Even when purpose does not appear as a specific career or mission, hardship often strengthens a person's desire to create something positive in the world. After experiencing pain, many individuals develop a heightened awareness of how important kindness, patience, and understanding can be. They may become more intentional about the way they treat others because they know firsthand how deeply actions and words can affect someone's emotional well-being. This desire to contribute positively can influence everyday behavior in subtle but meaningful ways. A person might become more patient during difficult conversations, more willing to listen without judgment, or more attentive to the needs of people around them. These changes reflect a deeper understanding of the impact individuals can have on one another. Another important aspect of this transformation is the recognition that pain does not have to define the future. When people remain trapped in the belief that their past suffering controls their identity, they may feel powerless to move forward. But when they begin to reinterpret their experiences as sources of strength, their sense of agency increases. They realize that while they cannot change what happened, they can choose how those experiences shape their actions and values. This shift in perspective often brings a renewed sense of determination. Instead of viewing hardship as a permanent burden, individuals begin to see it as part of a larger process that contributed to their growth. The lessons learned from adversity become tools that help them navigate future challenges with greater confidence. Resilience developed through hardship can also strengthen a person's commitment to pursuing goals that truly matter to them. When someone has already endured difficult experiences, they often develop a deeper appreciation for opportunities that align with their values. They may become less interested in superficial achievements and more focused on creating a life that reflects authenticity and meaning. Purpose does not always appear as a single dramatic realization. More often, it develops gradually through a series of small choices that align with a person's evolving understanding of themselves. Each decision to act with integrity, compassion, or determination reinforces the sense that their past experiences contributed to who they are becoming. Over time, individuals may begin to recognize that the struggles they once resented helped them cultivate qualities that are essential for personal growth. Patience, empathy, perseverance, and emotional depth often emerge from experiences that once seemed unbearable. These qualities become part of the foundation that supports a purposeful life. It is important to acknowledge that discovering purpose through pain does not erase the reality of suffering. Difficult memories may still exist, and certain experiences may always carry emotional weight. However, when those experiences are integrated into a broader narrative of growth, they lose the power to define a person solely through hardship. Instead of being remembered only as painful chapters, those moments become part of a larger story about resilience and transformation. They represent the process through which a person developed the insight and strength necessary to move forward with clarity. This understanding often brings a quiet sense of meaning to experiences that once felt chaotic or unfair. People begin to see that the lessons hidden within their hardships helped prepare them for challenges they would face later in life. What once felt like random suffering now appears as part of a journey that shaped their awareness and character. Ultimately, the message of this stage is simple but powerful. Pain does not always remain a destructive force. When people choose to reflect on their experiences and learn from them, hardship can become the catalyst that reveals direction and purpose. Instead of allowing pain to define their life negatively, they transform those experiences into insight, resilience, and determination. In this way, the struggles of the past become stepping stones toward a more meaningful future. Pain, when understood and integrated, can guide a person toward the path that truly belongs to them. As we come to the end of this reflection, it is worth pausing for a moment to look back at the ideas we explored throughout the video. When we examine painful experiences with distance and honesty, a different pattern often begins to emerge. Moments that once felt like obstacles sometimes reveal themselves as part of a deeper process of growth. One of the first ideas we discussed is that difficult experiences often force people to grow faster than they expected. When life presents challenges early, individuals are pushed to develop emotional resilience sooner than others. While comfort allows growth to happen slowly, hardship accelerates it. Each setback teaches patience, endurance, and the ability to continue moving forward, even when circumstances feel uncertain. Over time, these experiences strengthen a person's inner stability and their capacity to face future challenges with greater confidence. The second idea we explored is that hardship often expands awareness and deepens empathy. When someone has personally experienced loss, rejection, or disappointment, their understanding of human emotions becomes more complex. They begin to recognize the quiet struggles that others carry. Instead of reacting quickly with judgment, they become more attentive to the emotional realities behind people's words and actions. In this way, pain does not only shape personal strength, it also cultivates compassion and a broader understanding of the human experience. The third idea centers on the role that past struggles play in shaping a person's sense of direction and purpose. Difficult moments often become turning points that influence the choices people make later in life. Through reflection, individuals begin to see how their experiences taught them valuable lessons about resilience, values, and meaning. What once felt like a painful chapter can later become the foundation for a path that feels more authentic and purposeful. When these three ideas are viewed together, they reveal a larger perspective about the role of hardship in human development. The most difficult periods of life are not always signs that someone is moving in the wrong direction. In many cases, those periods function as moments of preparation. They test character, deepen awareness, and cultivate the strength necessary to face life with greater clarity. It is natural to question difficult experiences while they are happening. During those moments, pain often feels confusing and unfair. But when people look back on their lives after time has passed, they sometimes recognize that the very experiences they once wished to avoid helped shape their understanding of themselves and the world. The struggles that once seemed meaningless can gradually reveal the lessons they carried. Reflection plays an important role in this realization. When individuals take the time to examine their past with honesty, they often discover that their most difficult moments were also the ones that changed them the most. Those experiences may have strengthened their resilience, deepened their empathy, or guided them toward a clearer sense of purpose. The person they are becoming today is often connected to the lessons learned during those earlier challenges. Understanding this connection does not mean that pain should be romanticized or ignored. Difficult experiences remain difficult, and the emotions connected to them are real. However, recognizing the role those experiences played in shaping personal growth can transform the way people interpret their past. Instead of seeing hardship only as something that happened to them, they begin to see it as something that contributed to who they are becoming. When someone reaches this understanding, their relationship with the past often changes. What once felt like a series of burdens may begin to look more like a process of preparation. The lessons hidden within those experiences become part of a deeper narrative about resilience, awareness, and transformation. If this video made you reflect on your own journey, take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who might need to hear this message, and subscribe to the channel for more content about awareness, personal growth, and the journey of self-discovery.